We'll be discussing Buhari's political vacuum. Who inherits the bloc vote in the north? That has become a controversial conversation so far. And now, as Nigeria looks ahead to the 2027 general elections, the political landscape in the north is shifting with the death of former President Muhammadu Buhari. The question now dominating political circles is who will step into his shoes. Buhari, a towering figure in Nigerian politics, commanded a loyal base of over 12 million voters, a bloc that played a decisive role in multiple election cycles. Now, with his absence, contenders are jostling for position, each hoping to inherit that powerful legacy. Now, today, we take a closer look at the emerging political heavyweights, the power play behind the scenes, and what it all means for the future of northern politics in Nigeria as a whole. Now, joining us today to unpack these critical developments is Emmanuel Osemeka, a seasoned public affairs commentator and political analyst with deep insights into Nigeria's evolving governance dynamic. And he is not alone. With him, we have Hashim Suleiman, the founder of One Heart Initiative for Equity and Good Leadership. You're all welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Good morning.
All right, but before we dive in, we'll take a look at an explainer that we have prepared by Abdullahi Ahmed. Let's take a look.
With the passing of former President Muhammadu Buhari, Nigeria's political landscape has lost one of its most towering northern figures, a man who inspired fierce loyalty, commanded vast followership, and left behind an ideological vacuum. But as 2027 approaches, a critical question emerges: who takes over the Buhari political empire? Is it Atiku Abubakar, the serial presidential contender, Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, the grassroots general, or Malam Nasir El-Rufai, the reformist and political firebrand? Let's break it all down. Atiku has been in the race longer than most. A two-time vice president, a five-time presidential contender, and a founding pillar of the PDP. He commands deep respect among political elites and holds strong electoral machinery in the northeast and also in parts of the south. His calls for restructuring and economic liberalism appeals to reform-minded Nigerians. But here's the challenge. Atiku is viewed by many as a perennial loser. After decades in the arena, he's yet to clinch the big prize. Age is not on his side, and his repeated defeats have thinned his followership, especially among young Nigerians and first-time voters. He may have the experience, but not the energy or momentum to inherit Buhari's mass base. If crowd pooling was the only criterion, Kwankwaso would already have the crown. The former Kano governor has built a loyal political army under the Kwankwasia movement with strong appeal among northern youths, students, and urban voters disillusioned with mainstream politics. In 2023, he shocked many by coming a strong fourth under the NNPP, sweeping Kano and making inroads in Jigawa, Katsina, and Kaduna. But can he scale up nationally? His reach beyond the north remains weak. Southern voters see him as too regional, and his movement, while loud, lacks the funding and the structure to dominate a national race. Unless he forms a broader coalition, Kwankwaso has the street, but not yet the state. Smart, strategic, and controversial, Malam Nasir El-Rufai is no stranger to national influence. As FCT minister and Kaduna state governor, he earned a reputation for bold reforms and tough leadership. Within APC circles, he is regarded as a power broker, deeply respected and often feared. Unlike Kwankwaso and Atiku, El-Rufai is more elite-facing. He speaks the language of policy, not populism. His stance on restructuring, deregulation, and governance reform echoes Buhari's technocratic side. But here's the snag. Malam Nasir El-Rufai is divisive. His tenure in Kaduna was marked by tension, religious, ethnic, and political. His public spots, centralist leanings, and recent corruption probes dent his image. And crucially, his base is more elite than electoral. He may inherit Buhari's ideological lane, but not necessarily his mass followership. Atiku Abubakar, the PDP's serial presidential contender, has resigned from the party that defined his last 2 decades. Tired? Maybe. Done? Not just yet. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, once the NNPP's shining light, has been ousted by the very structure he helped build. He may be out of the party, but Kwankwasia is still roaring on the streets of Kano and beyond. Malam Nasir El-Rufai, APC's brain and backrooms beast, has walked away from a party he helped build amid rising tension with the Tinubu camp and a calculated silence that's making more noise than a campaign rally. But the big question is, can they deliver Buhari's base? Let's be honest, Buhari's followership was not just about politics.
Hey! See my Buhari! Yes, Baba!
It was about symbolism, integrity, simplicity, religion, order. Atiku has the name, but years of elite positioning and corruption tags dent his grassroots magic. Kwankwaso has the crowd, the color, and the charisma, but struggles beyond the northern borders. El-Rufai has the intellect and the ideology, but not the emotional bond with the masses. None of them alone is Buhari, but together, well, maybe they could recreate something close, a fusion of influence, numbers, and brains. But here's the danger zone. Coalitions in Nigeria are like arranged marriages. They're great on paper, but messy in practice. Who leads? Who steps back? Who funds it? What's the platform? Ego has killed more alliances in Nigeria than elections. And unless the trio can swallow pride, align visions, and take the South along, 2027 will be just another missed moment. So here's the bottom line. With Buhari gone and the APC under new leadership, the political empire he once commanded is now up for grabs. Atiku, Kwankwaso, and El-Rufai, once rivals, now stand at a critical crossroad. Their choices in the coming months may not only shape the 2027 elections, but redefine the balance of power in post-Buhari Nigeria. So, for now, Buhari's political empire remains without a clear heir. And as 2027 draws closer, the real battle may not be over who replaces Buhari, but who reinvents what he once represented.
All right, that was, a very informative explainer. All right, thank you for joining us again, both of you. But I would throw this first question to you, Mr. Emmanuel Osemeka.
Oh, me?
Yes, absolutely. With these,
the big man.
all right, with these, back and forth that's going on. Okay, who is going to, step into that vacuum? And with all the people that we have of now, and with the way the political scene is going, as aforementioned, Buhari had a very strong cult-like following, but then there have been speculations that when Tinubu came into power, that following declined a little bit. But then a lot are saying that now that he's not here, even though when he was alive, there wasn't any insinuation that he was in play in, the political scene. But then who do you think can be able to have that kind of backing, that kind of cult-like following and impact when it comes to politics and the 2027 elections?
Okay, thank you very much. I hope you've not set me up this morning. Okay, first off, I want to send my condolences to the people of Nigeria, and most especially the immediate families of the late President Muhammadu Buhari. That's a name that stuck in my mouth for a very long time, even Absolutely. When I tried to analyze the government, the present administration. Most often, you find me calling President Muhammadu Buhari. I don't know why that name has stuck with me. Probably because I've criticized him. I'm one of those that have criticized him the most. Fantastic question, and I mean, fantastic job by my brother Ablaye. So the point is very clear. There is no one that can replace former late President Muhammadu Buhari. There's no one. Why? The man is unique in his own stead. First, as a military person. Second, as a head of state. Third, as a man who, threw off the military toga and became, quote unquote, a reformed Democrat, like they said. But he had his ways with his own life. A very close friend of mine described him, she worked with him, described him as a righteous man. I didn't see him that way, but she worked with him closely. And she said, yes, he was a righteous man who God gave enormous opportunity. But he betrayed that opportunity that God gave him. Now, when you talk about, is it about the 12 million votes, or is it about his lifestyle, or is it about his public life or private life, or what have you? There is none amongst the three gentlemen listed, either former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, or Dr. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, or Malam Nasiru El-Rufai, who comes close to anything that resembles a Buhari. Buhari ran for the office of the president 3 times, and at the 4th try, he won. 3 times he ran against an incumbent twice. In fact, he ran against an incumbent 3 times. That's what I would say. Then the 4th one also against an incumbent. What was the difference? The difference, at the 4th round of the election, there was a coalition. There was a broad-based coalition. And this is something that has happened, over time, where his, analysis have, put it out there for him that, look, you have that following in the North. You have the votes in the North because, one, over the years, the media and, of course, the people around him have been able to create a narrative about him and giving him a name that resonates, largely and hugely amongst the ordinary people of the North, and they call him Megaskia, the honest one. And he tried as much as possible to live a very simple lifestyle. And the honest truth is that Buhari never left his generation. He continued to live the life of the people of his generation. And that also affected his politics. That also affected him as a president. And that's why when you look at what people today throw out as a legacy, I'm sorry I might offend a few people if you feel it's still money, but the reality is that I'm talking about his public life. Because he was living in the past for a greater part of his later life, Buhari didn't transit from the 70s and the 80s to the 21st century. I'll give you an example. One of the reasons why I say that is that if you take a cursory look at his government, it was marred with enormous proliferation, massive looting and criminality happened under Buhari. He didn't know about it. If he knew, he didn't care. So I give you a classical example. Buhari is a man who was president, and at one time I heard that there was a wedding, and the vice president, Osemeka, was supposed to attend that wedding, a very close person. And Buhari offered to support the wedding, that he would pay for the decoration of that wedding, and he gave 1 million. Whereas the decoration of that wedding had cost about 40 million. That's the Buhari that many didn't know. So in his head, 1 million is a lot of money. In another breath, another person who had issues, who needed help, came. Buhari told them to support him, that they should give him like 100,000, he should solve his problem. The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That's the kind of man so he didn't understand where he was, one. He didn't understand that Nigeria had moved. And most often, when people were complaining that things are bad, he didn't understand it. He didn't understand it because to him, the people he appointed have come to him and said, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. If you sign this, this will happen, this will happen. He didn't have the presence of mind and the capacity to either set up someone who would do the work for him or even supervise his ministers.
He had full trust in his cabinet.
That
he wasn't supervising
that grandfather
under his government?
Yes, that grandfather personnel where you sit and your children come and you say, okay, go there, there's biscuit in that cupboard. Go and take it. Oh, there is bread. They brought breakfast for me. I'm old, I can't eat it. Remember that
so whether they take 1 or 10,
it doesn't matter to him. You remember at some point, Garba Shehu told us that his doctors advised him to sleep more and rest more. Who are the people that sleeps more and rest more?
All right.
Retirees, right?
Yes.
That's who he was, unfortunately. That's why you hear some people who tell you that may Buhari never happened to us again. So none of these people you've mentioned can replace him because he was a different person.
All right.
From this to
all right. So let's shift a little bit. I'll throw this question to you. Earlier you spoke about a coalition, and then that aided in, Buhari being voted into office. And with that, there's a statement that the former head of state of Nigeria, Islam Abubakar, made, saying that the death of Buhari will change the political dynamic and landscape in Nigeria. So, and there is an alleged report that the APC are scurrying because they are scared of losing that cult-like following of Buhari's. So, do you think that APC would lose that following, and it would shift to, the new coalition, which is the ADC?
Okay, yeah, thank you. So, I've been here before, and I had spoken about how, statistic has shown that the core north, as it's been called, usually falls off from a lot of administrations after their first tenure. And so I guess, and I feel that the current president, perhaps being a meticulous person that he is politically, had probably studied that, or that his strategists had studied that, and they had, from his administration's beginning, put that into consideration and started to see how they could mitigate that tendency of the core north. And so, with Buhari's demise, I feel that it sort of kind of puts the APC in such a situation where they will even have to do more to ensure that the core north does not, bring that their political tendency to bear, in the sense that after first 10 years, they will always want to. And I want to break this down so it doesn't look like I'm just saying. If you look in by 2003, that was the first time Buhari contested for president. And if you remember, Obasanjo really went through a lot before he could be able to get that second tenure. And then after that, Jonathan came. By 2011, he was okay. Everybody, the North was on board for 2011 to happen. But by 2015, we can all remember what happened, Even the Buhari himself, by 2019, there are still so many arguments out there as to whether Atiku Obi won or not. If you still discuss with a lot of people, because Atiku Obi also gave him a whole lot of headache before he could be able to come back for second tenure. And if you go and look at the numbers, you see that the North still, so there is in that. So, of course, now the APC is kind of jittery, because even before Buhari's demise, that fear of the North, bringing their usual political character to bear had been there. Then with the lawsuit, so I see more of, and I think that the APC is being sort of strategic by using this whole incident right now to kind of give him as much respect, use the opportunity sort of to assure the core north that, look, we remain a part and parcel of this friendship and political handshake, and we want you guys to continue to have trust in us and all of that. So I think that's what I see. I think it's not out of place. But how we want to measure whether the core northern voters have bought into that message or that they're going to be with the other party, which is most likely actually because I think the main reason that even brought a lot of talk about this whole inheritances of the Buhari's 12 million votes was Atiku's appearance in Daura. And I think I equally thought about it that Atiku landed that early morning in Katsina, and then the event happened by the morning, of that day. And of course, it wasn't impossible that anybody would have done any mobilization to get. So apparently, that character that the people on the street put out for him could be intentional, could be deliberate, And so that means that it's possible that they may, because all of these things, they're not about rhetoric. We could sit here and talk about it, but they are the ones who have their thoughts and their minds and what they're thinking. APC has done as much. I think yesterday there was a special fake meeting in honor of him, and the family of Buhari was there. Yusuf spoke and all that. If you go on social media, you see people trying to promote that, to mean that. So these are the realities.
Okay.
These are the realities as we see them right now. So we cannot really say where the people really are more inclined to.
Okay, now you talked about people trying, like in the party or outside the party. So the question is, do you think that there are a lot of people in APC that are very loyal to the party because of Buhari, the late Muhammad Buhari? Do you think his demise will influence the decision to leave or stay in the party?
Yeah, obviously, because look, at the end of the day, politics is about interest, right? But for us in the north, there are certain things that you could actually, how will I say, sidestep your interest because of loyalty that you have to a certain individual. So especially people who are Buharis, even if you have an interest and Buhari tells you, this is what will happen, definitely you would have no choice than to sidestep. So now that figure who could make you sidestep your interest is no more there. So it's most likely that you're going to go for. So now is to interrogate on whether the CPC bloc of the APC, especially those from the north, are they being appropriately integrated in the administration? Are they given their own fair share of how will I say, patronage in the whole government setting? If they had, then I don't think they will want to go anywhere. But if they are not, then this is the time for it, because there are consequences to Buhari's demise as an APC member on the party. Definitely, there's going to be some vacuum. All of these things we're talking about are going to be all of the vacuum. So if all of those people are not appropriately being patronized, I think it's right about time that they started to be patronized, so they'll feel that their interest is still being protected, and then they could have more reason to want to invest in the APC venture.
All right, Mr. Osemeka, let me throw this to you. I would like to hear probably a projection from you when it comes to the 2027 polls. Who do you think, in the array of contenders that we have here, we have obviously President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is out there going for a second term, and we have Atiku Abubakar, we have Peter Obi, we have El-Rufai, and even Rotimi Amici that has shown interest in that. So who do you think can be able to put their best foot forward and be able to fill those shoes that they're saying are empty right now?
Well, for me, I don't think there's any shoe that is empty, honestly, because like my brother Hashim clearly, narrated historically, late President Muhammad Buhari contested in 2003. That was President Olusegun Obasanjo's second term. Any administration that goes for second term usually do not have it easy. It's always because it's about a referendum on your performance in the first term. So, and in fact, that election was said to have been won by the late President Muhammadu Buhari, but of course, INEC declared Olusegun Obasanjo the winner. In 2007, it was two Katsina-born sons, the late Umaru Musa Yar'Adua of blessed memory, and of course, now late President Muhammadu Buhari. And that election was just the worst election ever held in Nigeria, to the extent that people were still voting and when the result was announced.
Wow.
And of course, Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, late Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, was declared the winner. And he was magnanimous in victory. He came out and said clearly that the process that brought him to office was completely flawed. And he went about to put things in place. Just trying to put context, before I answer your question. And after that, Umaru Musa Yar'Adua died 2 years after, not before he set up committee, the Waste Committee and the rest of them. So he had 7-point agenda. Then Goodluck Jonathan, who was his vice, became president. Don't forget, before then, there was this massive political, should I call it, play that happened, that they didn't even want the vice president to ascend to that office. And now, eventually he became the president after the Save Nigeria group and what have you. In 2011, he had to contest as president. And of course, there were a lot of agreements and what have you that happened. Obasanjo took it upon himself to campaign for him. But he won the election. That was when the late President Muhammadu Buhari cried openly. He contested under the CPC. He cried openly. Then he was with Nasiru El-Rufai. In 2015, when Jonathan was going to go for second term, that's when the APC thing came up. And of course, it was said that Nasiru El-Rufai took Buhari to Asiwaju, who is current president. And of course, that merger happened. And they won. Now, if you take a cursory look at those elections and look at the numbers, like he said, you will see clearly that, yes, there was 12 million votes, but that 12 million vote was not consistent. It was a campaign slogan. 12 million vote, he has the 12. He never had any 12 million vote anywhere. That 12 million vote happened in 2011 and 2021, supposedly 2015. Before then, there was no 12 million vote. It was either 6 million votes, 7-point-something million votes, or thereabout. But push forward. Today, if you look at the 2023 election, like you mentioned, 2019 election, people claim that it was Atiku and Obi that won the election, whatever. But I mean, INEC declared Buhari the leader, the winner. 2023 election, there's stories out there that Obi won the election landslide, but the result INEC turned out shows that President Tinubu won. Now, the 2023 election opened up a lot for us as people. And don't forget that there has been political evolution in Nigeria over the years. And President Muhammadu Buhari also is a major player in that political evolution. And you cannot divorce Alhaji Atiku Abubakar within this mix, because he also played pivotal role in expounding our political jurisprudence. So when you look at it critically, you will see that, yes, for whatever is worth, Nigerians either vote for party or recently for individuals. Mm-hmm. Now, President Tinubu is going to go for second term. He's yet to say so. But the party says he's the only candidate. And the political moves and political defections that you see points to the fact that he's going to go for a second term. Now, that second term, if there will be election, I said that advisedly, if there will be election, will be a referendum on the performance of, one, the 8 years of late President Muhammadu Buhari's government and the 4 years of the present government. And if you listen to the feelers across the length and breadth of the Nigerian political landscape, the answer is there for you to see. And don't forget that for somebody like President Tinubu today, who became president, he had people who sweated for him, who sacrificed a lot for him. And when you look critically amongst the people who supported him heavily, the man that stands tallest is Nasiru El-Rufai.
Okay, let me shift to you. let's imagine and take us to 2027. What are the potential scenarios for 2027 general elections in light of Buhari's passing, and how might the outcome be influenced by the succession question? 2 minutes and 2 minutes, please.
Okay, so by 2027, you know, right now, if you really want to be honest, as at now, you would think that APC has an edge. Why? Because the only opposition that would probably be viable realistically for the 2027 election would be ADC. I think they're still at their formative stage. I think they're trying to pull up together. We do not have any indices at the moment to presume that they could be here or there. So I think it's somewhat in the early days, but you could see that Asuwaju is not sleeping. He's really moving. We're seeing how many governors still want to come in the south. We're hearing about Adeleke coming in. We're hearing about Doediri of Bayelsa coming in. We're hearing about Mba of Enugu coming in. We're hearing all of these things. The one for Abia on the Labour Party, he has severally insisted that he aligns with the thinking of Asuwaju. And so these are the realities. He's moving even in the north with the activities around the Buhari's demise. We also see how he's putting in as much effort to pick out the political capital. So yeah, so this is the reality as it is right now. You would say APC is on, but maybe perhaps by December, we may be able to analyze more and see. But one thing I know for sure is, considering the sort of person that Asuwaju is, he's not definitely going to leave any stone unturned in the quest for his second tenure. So whatever strategy it is that the other part is putting up must better be deft, otherwise we're still going to be here.
All right.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much for being here, Hashim, Suleiman, and Emmanuel Osemeka. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
So much.
It's a pleasure to have you on this segment.
Thank you.
Thank you.